Hello and welcome. Wait, hang on. I gotta get into character. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Admiral Tony's log, stardate 202310.07. I have been tasked with hosting an open communication to share current events with the fleet and other interested parties. This transmission will be multicasting live via Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch to facilitate this. Tonight, we are assembling the fleet at Wolf 359's Instance 1 while we hold our weekly summit. Joining me for this mission is Sean and our very special guest, Star Trek Online Art Director Thomas Marrone. And first, let me apologize for this terrible impression. So welcome, Thomas.
Let that hang in there for a minute. No, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me aboard, Captain.
No, thank you for subjecting yourself to this this evening. So, should we address you as Lord High Graphic Deity, Thomas the Cat, Mr. the Cat, Mr. Marrone? I mean, how would you like us to worship? I mean, how would you like us to address you this evening?
Thomas is fine.
Okay, great. And Sean, how are you doing? Are you as flustered and as excited about tonight as I am?
Oh yeah, completely. I haven't spoke to anyone at Star Trek Online ever before, let alone the lead artist over there. So Thomas, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having her. Yeah, and your impression really did go to Simpsons comic book guide near the end.
Yeah. So we got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. We'll cover some Star Trek online news. We'll have plenty of questions for Thomas this evening, and hopefully you the viewers can join us. Sean's over there on Xbox. I'm on PC, so we're gonna have some fun, and hopefully Thomas will give us some recommendations of his favorite content in the game that we can jump into later on. So I think that's what I'd like our away mission to be. And Pope Moisty, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for having such an awesome name. I mean, Pope Moisty. I'm gonna mention that at least 2 or 3 more times during the stream tonight. So before we go any further, Thomas, we just got to get this right out here, okay? We gotta address the elephant in the room. There's one question on everybody's mind when it comes to content in Star Trek Online, and everybody in the chat is going to be screaming this until I ask you, okay? We've seen pictures, we've seen rumors, we've seen this and that, hints and things. When are we getting a Moopsy combat pet?
I couldn't tell you. We haven't seriously talked about it. I mean, we all agree that it's something that we want to do, that we should do, that we need to do, that we're required by fate to do. But
okay.
We haven't made any solid plans, which is kind of the first step.
So what I'm hearing is it's the biggest thing on the whiteboard, like in the biggest letters. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. Something like
confirmed.
That.
Confirmed. Moopsy combat pet coming at some point. Sometime after today is what you're saying.
We would be fools not to. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And listen, I mean, I hope you all were. I think we'll be talking about this a bit later. I hope you all were excited about the anaphasic candle news.
Yes, we will be talking about that later.
If we do the anaphasic candle, I feel like Moopsy is also a shoo-in.
Let me tell you, I'm getting a little warm just thinking about the candle. Okay, Becky Midnight, thank you so much for subscribing. All right. Let's give a shout out to the people who were with us. Gojira, Baron Von Zolo, Teacher Guy, Lesser Panda, Captain Wit. I mentioned Becky Midnight, Nova. Let's see, who else do we have? Pope Moisty. There's mention number 1 of 3. Spuds. Let's see, who else? Joseph over on YouTube. Oh, Ice Queen 142. Thank you so much for subscribing. Wow, this is Thomas. We got to have you on every week. We've had more subscribers in the first 3 minutes than we've had in the last month. This is amazing. You just can't leave. Augmented Dictator Games just subscribes. Thanks, Augie. Love your videos. Hey, if you guys need any build information, go check out Augie's videos. Let's see. Spicy Ball Meat. There's a name right there. All right. Well, welcome to everybody. Oh, and on in here with us, we have Lord Ford, Farnsworth, Bradley, and as I mentioned, Nova and Gorgira. So welcome. Hatsune, welcome. Martin, ARG, Merlin, the Incredible Genie. I think I got everybody. So yeah, welcome everybody. We're gonna have fun tonight. It's already been a blast. I can tell. Thomas is laughing at my jokes, so we're going to be just fine. So, Sean, why don't you tell us what we got going on for tonight?
Well, definitely. Just a few short minutes. We're going to team up to play a patrol. We haven't decided exactly which one yet. Your character's got to be level 10 to join in. And during this summit, we will discuss the latest Star Trek Online news, and we'll also share the latest Priority 1 news. Highlight some outstanding members within our community. And if you have not made your way over to Wolf 359, instance number 1, come over and join us. And then after the summit, we'll warp up for a weekly away mission and run some TFOs. Most importantly, we're going to earn some dilithium tonight.
I have an incoming message from Starfleet. I've just been informed that Starbase 80.
Damn, Starbase 80.
See, what did I say? I said Thomas was going to nail it first try. It's us hosts that keep screwed up every week. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Anyway, Starbase 80 has some assorted surplus. So, captains, for your chance to win a TR-116B rifle, sniper rifle, type into the chat the word rebel. Type the word rebel into the chat.
All right, good luck, everyone. Yeah, which platform you're on, you can still get that TR-116B rifle. And if you are not a member of the Priority 1 Armada and want to stay in touch with us in-game, then come join us in our Priority 1 chat channel by typing in the chat box /channel_join space Priority 1. This is all one word, and then hit the enter key. And if you want to be a member of our Priority 1 Armada community, simply head over to the PriorityOneArmada.com to sign up. We have multiple Federation and KDF fleets for you to start your career in the Priority 1 Armada today.
I'm sure it's my line, isn't it? Okay. All right, now it's time for us to carry out a routine patrol mission. So, captains, so Thomas, what do you have a favorite patrol? Do you have a favorite patrol or one that you like the map of, or any of those that have been redone that you're fond of at all, or conversely, one that you want us to suffer through? That's always an option as well.
Yeah, I'm just sort of refreshing my memory here. There's one thing that I have to admit a couple things. So, as a kid, I remember reading like PC Gamer and those game developer magazines, and they would all, whenever they did interviews with game developers, they would always ask like, "What games are you playing?" And and a lot of times the answer was like, "Well, I'm just too busy. I don't really get to play a lot of games." I remember that as a kid, I was like, "Oh, that's BS, man. Like, I would never stop playing video games." And then like nowadays, I sort of sympathize because there's a good chunk of my job it's a lot of playtests, and so we're playtesting STO for all the new content that we're working on, and I'm also working on a book right now, so I'm spending a lot of time after work doing that, and so it's just I don't have a lot of time to play STO in a while. And then there's another really, really silly reason that I haven't played a lot of STO lately, and I hate to admit this, but my main ship is a Manticore, the T6 Lifetime Destroyer.
Yep.
And I've never had time to remaster that ship with all the other
Oh.
remasters we've been doing. And so like when I get in the Manticore, I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is so old and busted, and I'm like, I want to play STO again, but I want my ship to be, to look good. And then I try to switch over to some of the other ships that we have remastered, and they're just not the same. It doesn't fly the same way. I really like the destroyer combination of like tactical and engineering and stuff. So it's been a while since I've really just jumped into STO and flown around.
All right. Well,
Holodeck, yeah.
no,
So
it's okay.
I'm happy to see you guys. Whatever you guys.
Yeah,
are
let's
doing.
all right guys, let's queue up for so let's if you're on Fed, go ahead and X up in chat, in-game chat. And we'll run let's see, I've got Bradley, I've got Nova, I've got Hatsune, and I've got Defiant. I think that's all I can take here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So if the rest of you, let's see, Kenobi, Emlong, Zurin, Baron Bonzola, if you guys want to start your own team, you guys can join us too. So let's go ahead, and all of you on my team, let's go ahead and do let's do Unity. So let's launch the Unity Patrol with the Borg Cooperative. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that right now. So Thomas, I am currently in the. Obviously, I'm in the. I guess it's the Yorktown. No. I'm in the Mirror Universe Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever that one is. I forget what that one's called. The Lexington? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I'm running, but I've got the I've got the sort of regular Federation scheme on it. Obviously because, I'm a huge TNG fan and Picard season 3 just came out, so
Yeah.
So can you tell us anything about this book that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, I've been posting about it on Twitter here and there a little bit. It's essentially, it started off because there was in one of the new Star Trek shows, somebody said something about ships that just wasn't right. It was like calling a ship that was a brand new ship, somebody called it like a refit or something.
Yeah.
And I was sort of sitting there and I just started to fume. I'm like, not how it works. Not how it works. It's not what that means. And then so I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this out of my system. I'm gonna write this Twitter thread that like sort of goes into detail on like what, where do class names come from? What's the difference between a refit and a new ship? And what do registry numbers mean and all this stuff, right? And so like I write this outline of this Twitter thread that's basically a Starship manifesto about like, here's what, here's where all this stuff comes from, the naval conditions behind it. Here's like how it's been used and changed in Star Trek over the years from the original series all the way through, Discovery, Picard, Prodigy, Lower Decks, etc. And then I'm looking at this outline and I'm like, this is not a Twitter thread. This is like a book.
Wow.
There's no way I could do this in a Twitter thread. And so then I was like, all right, well, I'm in it now, and I started writing, and I finished the text earlier this year. It's about 35,000 words, and so now I'm working on. I'm hiring a lot of great Star Trek artists from Twitter to do work for it, to illustrate it, and I'm doing some illustrations and graphics and stuff myself.
Wow.
And so it's essentially like a just a guide to it's more of a like the TNG tech manual is sort of
Right,
like the
right.
what, the what of like this is what the ship can do. Here's sort of how the technology works, and the what I'm working on is kind of the why. Like here's all the tradition and the history and
Sort of like reconciling the canon mentions of stuff like in a more digestible way, sort of.
yeah,
like,
but also looking at like the real. So I mean, a lot of early Star Trek, especially the original series, is rooted in like real naval traditions, right, and behaviors and stuff. And so like looking at that and explaining where that stuff comes from, because like to some extent a lot of new Star Trek, when it comes to the world building, kind of feels like a copy of a copy.
Yeah,
like
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And so trying to get back to those things, those concepts, and the mythology that inspired a lot of the original Star Trek. My hope is to help people kind of reconnect to some of that stuff and enrich the world beyond beyond the jargon and the or the just sort of like, oh, this is a word that showed up in Star Trek before, so we're going to use it again. But like, yeah, but what does that mean? Where did that come from? Like, what's the context, right? So it's really a lot about context and world building around Star Trek ships and Starfleet and life in Starfleet. And my hope is to help people. If you're a writer or an artist and you want to design your own ship, or you want to write fan fiction or actual Star Trek stories, if you're a professional Star Trek author, or you're playing Star Trek Adventures or whatever, my hope is to give you a toolbox to think about the Star Trek universe in a more, in life in Starfleet in a more like holistic way, beyond just shoot the phaser at the guy or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. You certainly put me down for a copy. Because that's the kind of stuff that us nerds think about. I mean, I've literally fallen asleep thinking about, okay, how do the NCC registry numbers work? Like,
Right.
how does that translate to, like, if a number is higher, does that mean that the ship came afterwards? Is it the first number in the sequence that dictates, like the project number? Like, for instance, the Constitution classes. So the 17 is like the Constitution project number. So that means that all the rest of them are like, 0, 1, 0. It's like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, so on. So then when you skip ahead to TNG, it's like, okay, well, now we got more numbers. So is it the first 2? Is it the first 3? Like that kind of
Right.
stuff. I literally keep myself up late at night thinking about. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot to unpack there, and it's not super consistent anymore. It would be cool if it were. That would help me sleep at night too, but
well, it's amazing that you've recognized sort of an area that can be, expanded on, and I look forward to it. Is there a timeline when we might be able to see it?
We'll see. I'm working on a pretty intense, like right now, like I said, the writing is done in its current draft, but then right now I'm just trying to get everything illustrated, and I'm paying all the artists, so all that money is coming out of my pocket and everything.
Right.
So I have to sort of pace myself and sort of just like, I would love for it to be an official book, but if that doesn't happen, then I'll just be releasing it for free, probably on Twitter or something, as a PDF for people. So,
Oh, wow.
I would hope that early next year.
I mean, I'm sure you have John Van Sitter's number, right? So you can just make that happen. Right?
I do, and
There you go. See, problem solved.
I have his email. I don't have his number. But having somebody's email address doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna
Right.
get your email or reply to it. So we'll see what happens, but one step at a time. Like certain people, I can explain what the book is, like like your reaction, like you got excited and you understood it. But like I think some people and I'm sort of saving a real solid pitch for when it's done, so that you can see, like, because I think having all the art and the layout, that's going to help sell it to people who don't really understand
Yeah.
just from the elevator pitch, like what I'm talking about or why it's important or interesting.
Yeah.
So it's really, and I have no illusions that it's, it's a very niche idea, it's a very niche product, and so if that's all it is, and people just, and I just give it away for people, and it becomes a free resource online, like, that's cool too. It's just something, that I kind of got a hold of me, and I just want to make sure that it gets out there into the world.
Well, I think a lot of us are excited about it, and I mean, look, if the TNG Tech Manual is a thing, that seems pretty niche, or even Rick Steinbeck's blueprints,
Right, yeah.
like that's super niche too. I think what you're doing is even more exciting and could reach a broader audience than those things. So, so good luck, and please let us know if we need to flood Twitter or Thread or YouTube or whatever with comments and things to make it happen. You can give us, I'll tell you what, here's what you give all of us John Van Sitter's email, and we'll let him know. We'll let him know that he should do this, and that's all we'll email him about. I'm sure that none of us will take advantage of that at all. You can totally trust us, Thomas. I promise. Okay?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining me in the patrol. Let's go ahead and get into some Star Trek Online news. So, Sean, why don't you tell us about the next recruitment event?
I will be happy to. From October 12th to November 2nd on all platforms, new Dominion captains will be known as Gamma Recruits, and they will be bred with the knowledge and capability needed to defeat this threat, save the Dominion, and ensure its future dominance over the Gamma Quadrant. As with previous recruitment events, the Gamma recruitment event represents an unprecedented opportunity for getting a leg up on progression. Not only do Gamma recruits themselves benefit from the additional rewarding tasks while the event is active, but they will also be capable of earning additional account-wide rewards for all characters on the Gamma recruits account. There's way too many bonuses and rewards really to go into when you open this up. It's we're not gonna list them all here, but get ready to make your Gamma recruit. Between October 12th, October 19th, you also can save on tools you need for your new Dominion captains, as anything Jem'Hadar related in Zen Store will now be 25% off. It's the best time to start an upgrade on a Jem'Hadar character.
So, Sean, are you planning on making a new Gamma recruit?
I already have one, and it's one of my favorite characters, and I cannot recommend doing this enough. It is just a really, really fun character, the Jem'Hadar. If you've never made one, I highly suggest it. And picking up like the legendary ship when you're like doing a new character like that, it really is just worth it. It's so much fun to play through this again with a new character and have all of the things that you might already have unlocked on your account, but also, just like really giving it a, like playing this game to its fullest is a lot of fun. So yeah, I suggest everyone try to get Jem'Hadar and get a bunch of Jem'Hadar stuff. Really lean into it. Get the Catch Your All White going.
Yeah. What about the 25% off sale? You're going to take advantage of that to upgrade your current Gamma recruit?
Nope, I do not have to do it. But again, everyone else should. Jem'Hadar is just a really fun character to play. And it's just a fantastic resource builder. If you have multiple characters, you're out here trying to grind it. Jem'Hadar is the king of it. So yeah, really fun character class. I suggest everyone make one.
Thomas, do you have a Jem'Hadar character or a Gamma recruit? When you guys, since you're working on the game, like, do you ever, when new content like that comes out or any like recruitment event comes out, do you ever just like go in and make a character just to check that off, even if you don't like level it up?
Yeah, I have a Gamma recruit. I made sure to make one. Typically, whenever we've done a new recruit, I'll make the recruit even if I don't think I'll have time to play it, because I just want to make sure that got that on the roster, because there's a lot of cool stuff that you get from them. I have a TOS recruit, Delta recruit, and a Gamma recruit. I think I have a Klingon recruit too.
So what's your Jem'Hadar character's name?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I think I might have just gone with one of the random names, because I typically go with like in-universe names, but I don't.
Yeah.
I like the Jem'Hadar were never like my favorite race.
Right.
Like I think they're cool, but like I never like spent a lot of cycles thinking about the Jem'Hadars. So it wasn't like I've got the perfect idea for this Jem'Hadar character. It wasn't quite to that extent.
So will you be taking advantage of the 25% off Zen sale?
I don't think I'll need to, but
okay. Well, for those of us who do, for those of us who don't have unlimited Zen, now might be a good time to do that. So, also, if you're still striving to get the greatest performance out of your equipment, this weekend is the perfect time to apply tech upgrades to your gear, as Star Trek Online is doubling the amount of technology points earned from each one applied. From now to October 9th on PC, every tech upgrade used will apply twice as many technology points to your next upgrade. This in turn reduces the amount of dilithium that must be spent to reach each upgrade threshold, allowing captains additional chances to attain both mark and rarity increases on their favored loadouts. Sean, you got any gear that needs upgrading this weekend?
Oh yeah, I got 14 characters. I am on this.
Wow.
I play with all of them. I'm constantly doing things and trying to upgrade and make things better. So yeah, specifically a Romulan character, I'm very excited about upgrading some stuff coming up.
Yeah, I have a few more than 14 characters. I have like double that, I think. So I'll definitely be checking them this weekend and making sure. Usually I'll have some dilithium saved up. I'll dump it into Phoenix prize boxes. I'll get a bunch of Phoenix upgrades, and then I'll dump those into gear. What about you, Thomas? Do you when these kinds of weekends come around, do you ever take notice of them, or do you have an unlimited supply of tech upgrades also?
I think I upgraded a lot of my stuff a while back, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But yeah, I mean now my gear is pretty old at this point. I know I'm sure I'm like super far behind whatever the meta is, because I'm still using a lot of reputation gear. So I think I would have to look into that and upgrade some new stuff. I mean, sometimes if there's like a new weapon set that I really want, that I really like the Wrath of Khan, phasers back when those came out, I had to go through the motions of like getting all of those and upgrading all of them, and I will say, I won't be specific, but there is a new Starfleet based space weapon set coming that I think people will be excited about. It's not super crazy, but it's another spin on the Starfleet weapons. Sean
suggested a great way of asking you follow-up questions to things like that. So if we were to go watch a specific show for just relaxing purposes, what would you suggest we watch?
I feel like even that would be too specific.
All right, well, I tried, Sean.
Good try. But yeah, I think I'll have to plead the fifth.
You'll have to abstain from that. Understandable. No problem. I believe Cryptic still has my NDA on file, but I can't speak for everyone else. So
I don't know about everybody in the audience.
All right, Sean, why don't you tell us about the R&D and duty officer sale?
Yeah, definitely. There's more news coming. This weekend we have research and development packs that will be available to captains on PC for 20% off. Both research and development packs as well as bundles will be discounted. Additionally, you'll be able to enjoy 20% off all duty officer packs. So, get them duty officers.
Yeah, you gonna take advantage of this at all, Sean?
No, sir. This is a PC thing.
And I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed for even asking. God, what a terrible host. Gosh.
I am getting I'm getting comments too about only having 14 characters. So I'm getting
Yeah.
stoned from people.
um,
Yeah, I know. I
That's
felt it was.
what? How many? How many? Look, not look. Let's stop the shaming. But how many characters do you have, Thomas?
I think 6-ish, something like that.
Okay, that's respectable. That's respectable.
Yeah. It's basically one of every faction and maybe two. I know I have 2 regular Starfleet characters because I had the first one, and then I changed my main early on to be a different character. I think after Cations came out, I wanted to I made a Cation.
Nice.
And then yeah, and then I've got the you know, one for, you know, Discovery, TOS, Romulan, Klingon.
Discovery,
I might have 2
like
Klingons.
all the starting,
I might have 2
things.
Klingons because I have a Gorn. I might have like a regular Klingon, but I don't remember
Yeah.
off the top of my head. And then yeah, and then Jem'Hadar that we talked about.
One of our co-hosts, Lance, has 84 characters across PC and Xbox. He also has no life. I think he wears diapers a lot, and he definitely. I'm gonna get crap for that. I can already tell. I can already see. I can feel him. I can feel. Oh, and he has no wife. That's true. That's right too. I forgot about that. Anyway.
Put it on the soundboard. Yeah, I'm very happy that Lance is Xbox with his 84 characters. Thank you very much, Lance, for all you do.
Nice. All right, well, let's move on to something that you probably can tell us a lot about, and that is the Dauntless 2 Command Science Destroyer from Star Trek Prodigy is joining the Infinity Lockbox on October 12th. The original Dauntless was a copy of a fraud. An alien race created a false Federation starship to lure the captain and crew of the USS Voyager. While partially successful, this effort caught the eye of Starfleet engineering once the Voyager completed its historic return to Federation space, and the advanced slipstream mechanism aboard provided the foundation for the Dauntless. The Dauntless 2, on the other hand, is reimagined as a true Federation starship molded by the experiences of Voyager's Captain Catherine Janeway. It retains the advanced quantum slipstream drive and scientific nature and adds to an absolute premium on the survival of the crew. Its prototype asymmetric shielding technology allows unprecedented integrity of the forward shields, and that defense is bolstered by an ability to surge torpedoes onto the battlefield in a spectacular, if not sustainable way. This deterrent stops fights before they start. Each enemy captain knows their ship cannot hope to pierce the Dauntless 2 shields before the beautiful display of formation flying torpedoes finds a hole in theirs. Did you write this blog?
No.
Or was it somebody else? Okay.
No, this is written by our ship systems guy, Jonathan Herlash.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay.
He's been doing a great job with those ship logs lately.
Yeah, they're awesome. Super fun to read too. This starship includes a commander science command, and a lieutenant commander engineering temporal operations seat. It has 4 forward weapons, 3 aft weapons, 3 device slots, and the bridge officer stations are 1 Commander Science Command, 1 Lieutenant Commander Engineering Temporal Operations, 1 Lieutenant Commander Tactical, 1 Ensign Universal, 1 Lieutenant Universal, and the console layout is 4 Tactical, 2 Engineering, 5 Science. It also comes with the Universal Console JDMA launch cells. Activating this joint directional munition attack console releases a wave of simplified torpedoes with warheads armed by a mixture of exotic particles too unstable for long-term storage. They arc toward the target, overwhelming their defenses with a large number of smaller impacts that more efficiently deliver force into the foe's hull. The kinetic damage dealt by this attack is modified by auxiliary power and either projectile weapon skill or exotic particle generation, whichever is greater. This counts as both an exotic and a projectile attack. In addition to its active abilities, this console provides a passive bonus to maximum auxiliary power, projectile weapons training, and exotic particle generation. It also comes with the Starship trait Vanguard Shield Shaping. After achieving level 5 in your Dauntless 2 Command Science Dreadnought, you will unlock the Vanguard Shield Shaping Starship trait. Holy cow, that is a tongue twister. Thomas, can you just say Shield Shaping Starship trait for me?
Shield Shaping Starship trait.
Okay, hey, maybe it's not that hard. While this trait is slotted, activating a Bridge Officer torpedo firing mode or exotic damage ability grants bonus kinetic damage and forward shield facing. In each case, the mechanism is the same. Particle projectors are used to bias the shields forward, creating an overcharged region of field. Oh, and I actually have a picture. Actually, I'm going to bring up a picture of this on the stream. So, all right, there's a picture of the ship. So what can you tell us about the design process for this ship? Because I gotta say, I think the original Dauntless is one of the ugliest ships ever made, but somehow someone has made it look way better.
Yeah, well, I mean, that wasn't us. We were just sort of following the lead of Prodigy on this one. We got some good reference from our friends on the Prodigy team. We've been really lucky to have Aaron Watke, one of the co-executive producers on Star Trek Prodigy. He, I've got I talk to him every now and then, and he came on the 10 Forward stream when we announced the Protostar, and he got to look at the Protostar and see Murph and everything.
I saw that. Yeah, that was. He seemed really, really impressed and really excited about the results of those.
Yeah, that always makes us feel good when the people behind the shows are impressed and excited about what we're doing.
Oh, and the slipstream drive for the Protostar too. I mean, that looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, that was done by our effects artists. Well, both of our effects artists, Chris Menard and Andrew Nielsen, worked on that. Andrew Nielsen was a point guy on that. Andrew did an incredible job matching the show, in a very complex effect. And there was a lot on the Protostar. The Protostar was a crazy ship with a lot of things we had to get right. We had to have the proto warp. That was, even though it's funny because it's like not a lot of people, run around in subspace and or in sector space as much. Like, at least I think that's the assumption around the office, is that just like people are, they're basically transwarping everywhere, because why wouldn't you?
Right.
We set it up to be as easy as possible for people, so even though there's not a ton of utility in the proto warp, it still was important for us to include it, because that was a huge part of the Protostar's identity. But yeah, let's go back to the Dauntless. So when we started working on that, or we knew that we were going to be working on it, I reached out to Aaron, and he connected me with another Prodigy producer, and they gave us some good renders of the Protostar, and I shipped that off to Tobias Richter, Starship Artist Extraordinaire, who's we have a great relationship with. He's modeled a lot of ships for us for STO, and we'll be modeling a lot more in the future. And he, it was a complex shape. It was hard to get right. We went back and forth a couple times, making sure that certain proportions were correct, because it's so smooth and kind of weird looking. But no, Tobias did a great job bringing that new Dauntless to life. Unfortunately, it does not customize with the existing.
I was actually just going to ask about that, and did having the original Dauntless help at all? Did Prodigy didn't build it off that at all?
No.
And any somebody was asking in chat, I might as well ask now, is any plans on any updates to the original Dauntless now that this one has come out?
I don't think so. We might have been able to do it. Might have an excuse to do it if they had just reused that design for theirs. But I think it's just I mean, ultimately, when we think about what remasters we're going to do, there's a lot that goes on in my head about planning and the calculus and what's the biggest bang for your buck, and so recently we just did two really big ones, the Bortosk and the Avenger, and those were both essentially building a brand new ship model. That's essentially the amount of work that went into it.
Yeah.
And that would be the same for the original Dauntless. And it's just hard. It's sort of hard to justify um, for a ship when it doesn't actually have anything to do with the new ship we're putting out.
Right.
When we planned out what the new legendary skins were going to be for the Bortosk and the Avenger, thankfully we were able to pick new skins that required us to for the Bortosk, it required us to remaster the original, and for the Avenger, the Inquiry skin was limited in scope enough that we could spend the time we would have been spent on an entirely new skin. We could spend that on remastering the Avenger, and so it's a lot of it is, I'll admit, to some degree subjective, in the sense of like, what do I think people want the most? What do I think is the most important for us to clean up and bring bring a higher quality bar to? And obviously, I know that like every ship has its fans, but where do we, it's also a matter of like what's hurting the most, like
Right.
what models are the oldest, and the original Dauntless is certainly an old model, but it is not as far away from the source material than some other models in the game.
Yeah.
And or it doesn't feel as dated necessarily as like some of our old like tier 3 Galaxy variants, right, that are just like super gross. So there's just a lot that a lot of plates you're spinning, and a lot of concepts and ideas and priorities that you're trying to weigh when you make decisions about, do we remaster this, do we make a new ship, what are we doing? It's there's a lot that goes on when you're trying to make these decisions.
Yeah.
You have a limited amount of time.
I can't, and I think that's one thing that a lot of the players and they don't really think about is how big of a puzzle it is to just figure out all the things that goes into the decisions of what ships get updated, and and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with what's going to excite people and bring people into the game, keep people in the game, and I mean, because that's ultimately what you want to do, is have the most people playing, most of the time. So
Right.
it sounds like an insurmountable task, and I don't think that enough people really appreciate all that goes into that. So thank you for doing that part of it, just to figure that stuff out, and then on top of that, you guys produce such great stuff, and such great looking stuff. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Sean, why don't you tell us about the Halloween event that's coming up?
It is my pleasure. I am so excited about this one. I love silly TOS stuff, and I feel like Star Trek has been leaning into it more. And well, this is we get a lot of TNG love this new Halloween event. I'll tell you guys more about it. So the extragalactic beings known as the Old Ones are back and in big trouble. So supernatural forces have invaded their mysterious castle and taken several of the strange visitors from another galaxy prisoner. Their goal to gain possession of a powerful device known as the Transmutator. Yes, the time for spooky adventure has returned. It's time for STO's Halloween event. This 3-week event from October 12th to November 2nd includes 2 patrols in addition to the task force operation known as Cat's Tail. And it's on all platforms all at once. Thank you guys for that. So, participating in this event grants daily progress towards the grand prize, which is Sylvia's feline charm, and the anaphasic plasma candle.
Sorry, let me jump in there. That was a a mistake on the blog. So we're not doing Sylvia's Feline Charm this year. There'll only be the anaphasic candle. So just to make sure that everybody gets the word on that.
Thank you so much. We were actually talking about this a moment ago, how we were excited that you were able to get last year's event prize as well. But yeah, this is a mistake then. All right, great. Well, thank you for clearing that up. No worries. I know you can still get Sylvie's charm in another way. I just can't think of what it is right now. But besides that, what's important is that we're getting the anaphasic plasma candle device. And additionally, the first character on your account that claims the reward will receive 25,000 dilithium ore and 3 featured episode reward boxes. So captains will also have the option to purchase their remaining progress in the event with Zen if they want. The price for this buyout will prorate based on the amount of progress the captain has completed as normal. And really, the star of the show is the anaphasic plasma candle device. So this candle has a plasma manifold that actually acts as a summoning signal for the anaphasic life forms, which will come when called. This life form favors the candle's owner and tries to protect the holder. One such candle was passed down as a family heirloom to Dr. Beverly Crusher of the USS Enterprise, but it was destroyed when the life form became obsessive and attacked her friends. A great TNG episode. I suggest everyone.
So I'm looking at the blog. Can I interject again?
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked this isn't included in the blog description. I don't really, I don't necessarily. I'm not involved with that part of our marketing thing, but I one of the really cool things, probably the coolest thing about this candle, is that it summons Ronan from that episode, and our character artist Amelia Marsh, she did a great job reconstructing Ronan, so it looks like him. So if Ronan kills an enemy, he actually possesses the body of that enemy, and then uses them to attack other enemies. It's really neat. It's a really cool trick, and it feels like exactly like what you saw in the episode. So
oh my gosh,
I'm excited for people to get their hands on it. I can't wait to see streamers running around and summoning Ronan and then causing havoc, with watching him take over enemy people. Now it only works on that possession. Only works on people that like humanoids. It doesn't work on like V-Rexes or whatever. But
no Tholians. We're not getting any
Right,
sexy Tholian ghost bodies.
Right.
Okay. So I have two very important questions here, Thomas. Number one, who came up with the idea to do this?
I did.
Okay, great. This is perfect because here's my second question, and you're going to be able to answer this. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was the reaction on the Zoom call when you presented this idea?
I think well, when I pitched it, I was like, kind of joking, but not really. That's how I framed it, I think.
Okay.
And then some people.
But did you say, hang on, I'm going to break a rule here on Priority 1. Did you say, hey guys, let's put the ghost fucker in the game? Is that how you presented it?
I did not phrase it like
okay,
that.
all right, just checking, because that's how I probably would have done it, all right, so I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, please finish telling the story.
But I was like, hey, because we were trying to figure out like what's a good Halloween reward, because we used up all the cat's paw stuff, and so we were just sort of sitting in a meeting and like, hey, what about the Howard family candle? And everybody kind of laughed, and we thought about it, and and then we were like, well, our systems designer, one of our systems designers, Jonathan Herlash, he usually works on ships, but he's got a great mind for this stuff, and he was like, aside from all the the meme-y stuff about it, like we could actually turn that into a really cool item, because there's the Palpatine lightning, and then there's the possessing the dead body and having that shoot lightning at people too, and like that would be a really great summon. And so everybody was like, oh wow, this could be like, and obviously, we get the joke, we're in on the joke, and we're walking a fine line because we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. So
Right, right.
there's no like coercion or charming or anything like that with this. It's not, we're not trying to lean into to the to that part of it, because that's all. It's a, that episode is kind of like a Harlequin romance, but we want to make sure that anybody who engages with it on those terms, they're sort of doing that because they want to, not because they
Right.
have to if they're using the item, right?
Not the way
So
Beverly engaged with it. Gotcha. Okay.
right, right. And so we leaned into the, oh well, you summon an ally and he shoots people with lightning, and then if they die, then he possesses them and they shoot people with lightning. That's a really cool, powerful item, right? And so there was enough there without treading into the meme territory, but we know that's going to happen. Like we understand that the people who want to are going to have that kind of fun with it, and that's great. I mean, like there's a, that it's been interesting as a Star Trek fan to watch how that episode has evolved in the consciousness of fandom over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
It used to just be everybody just, oh, that's a terrible episode. Sub Rosa, that's one of
Yeah.
the worst, And now, like, people kind of approach it on its own terms, and they see the fun and the, to some extent, the spookiness of it, and the and they're having fun with it, right?
And I think that has a lot to do with Gates McFadden's reaction to that episode too, because she constantly references it and makes fun of it, and I think that that has certainly helped in that regards of how the fandom sort of approaches that episode now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it. And then then Star Trek shit posting, like, I think that has been one of the mainstay memes of that of that giant Facebook group. And so but I don't think we would have been as keen to do it if it didn't have such a big mind share. But it's a natural fit for Halloween, and obviously people got excited about it or talking about it.
Yeah.
And we have fun with it. I'm really proud of how it turned out. Amelia March did the model of the candle. Weston Pierce, our animator, made some great animations.
Weston. Since Weston's come on board, I mean the game has really been elevated, and please extend, as somebody who has a film background too, like he does, what he's brought to the game has been a joy to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's an emote where if you get the candle, you can pull it out and emote and use it kind of Scrooge, like looking around, with the candle and everything. It's nice.
Oh, man.
It's a nice little bonus. So I'm really proud of it, and everybody involved did such great work. Chris Menard did the effects work for Ronan, shooting lightning and the ghost cloud possession that he does. It's really, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited for people to get their hands on it and try it out.
Now that you've mentioned these other benefits, I'm definitely excited about it. What do you think, Sean? Are you excited about getting this candle?
Oh, I'm even more excited now. I was expecting a more generic anaphasic being, and the fact that you guys have gone all out, I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see this. Yeah, thanks for letting us know that there's this whole extra aspect to this. Yeah, the blog didn't bring up. That's great. I can't wait.
All right, and Sean, why don't you tell us about Xbox and PS4 news?
Yeah, definitely. Right now, there is some sales going on, some really good ones. There are times in your life when you really want to get everything you need all at once, and that's what bundles are for. So, from October 9th on Xbox and PlayStation, you save 35% on ship bundles and expansion bundles in the Zen Store. Not only that, but all the bundles have previously appeared in Mud's Market are back, and they're on sale for 50% off. So it's the perfect opportunity to get a deal on the things you want, all in a convenient package. And I'm actually trying my best to ignore this right now. I'm trying to hold out for the next time the 10th anniversary is rolled around. That's my next big purchase. For a while there, I was just pouring money in the lock boxes going after the PCS. It got me bad, and but now I've stopped, and I'm trying to just conserve until the next time the 10th anniversary drops and get that bundle. But there's some really, really good bundles out right now that I would recommend to anyone who's looking for something to unlock on all their accounts. Something that I definitely profitize. C-Store bundles. They're great. And right now, like I said, 35% off. And the mud stuff, if you're looking for some fun stuff, which is really hard to get otherwise, that you normally have to find the Lovi being unlocked across your account, for 50% off. Can't beat it. So now's the time to buy if you're on the consoles.
Awesome. All right, so before we jump into patch notes and Armada news, which is our last part of the news segment, let's actually give our first giveaway away. So the winner of the TR-116B sniper rifle is the Incredible G. The Incredible G. So congratulations there. And let's see, you are a Twitch viewer, so go ahead and private message the Priority One Armada Twitch account with your in-game @handle, and we will get that mailed to you in the next couple of days. So again, congrats to the Incredible G. And let's go ahead and start our next giveaway, which is going to be a special giveaway that Sean, you donated. Do you want to tell us about what this prize is?
Yeah, exactly. I was actually just saying how I really want the Theseus, and that's because I love the IDW Star Trek books, the comic books. They come out every single Wednesday if you're lucky enough to have a comic store near you. And one of the more recent ones that came out was Day of Blood, Shaq's Best Day. And it just stars Shaq's, and where all the other IDW comics are much more serious, this has the tone of the Lower Decks show. It's written by a guy named Ryan North, who is just a hilarious writer. He's wonderful. Oh yeah, you know him? Yeah, he's done Squirrel, Dinosaur comics, lots of great.
Dinosaur comics was I read that religiously in college.
Yeah, Ryan North is hilarious. He's always making jokes that are kind of rooted in nerdy science. I cannot recommend his original Lower Decks 3-part comic that came out earlier in this year. And yeah, anywhere you are, no matter where you are in the world, I'll be happy to mail this comic to you. I have a copy of Shaq's Best Day, and all you have to do is put Shaq's, I guess will be the code word, unless you got another one.
No, I actually do. There's a theme with the words tonight.
Right.
And at the end of the night, I'm going to ask Thomas what the theme was.
So go ahead. What would be tonight for the comic book?
So to win your very own copy of Shaq's Best Day comic is type the word goose into the chat. Goose. Do you remember what the first?
I have a suspicion, but
do you remember what the first
other words are?
Do you remember what the first code word was?
No. What was the first code word again?
I'll recap at the end of the night. So.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So. Give me 1 second to get that started. Okay.
So did you realize that Ryan North had been writing the Lower Decks comics, Thomas?
I mean, I follow him on Twitter, and so I knew that he was doing some Star Trek stuff. I don't remember if I followed that it was the Lower Deck stuff, but I don't read as many comics as I just, that's not something that I have engaged a ton with. Although when I saw the Theseus, that was also my idea of putting the Theseus in STO. And when I saw it, when they announced it for the new Star Trek line, I was like, oh, well, I want that in Star Trek Online. That's a cool looking ship. I'm sure people will want to fly it. And so we reached out to IDW, and they gave us permission to use it in the game. I think people have reacted positively to it. So that's been great.
Oh, that's really cool. That's actually one of my big questions is how that relationship got started, because the speed at which a comic book had its ship kind of brought into the larger universe, it was incredible. It was like issue 2, and you guys had the Theseus and the Walkbox, and I mean, you just don't see that kind of love headed towards the comic books, and also Bright Eyes
Hmm.
showing up in this
Oh
last.
yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
following these IDW comics forever. It was so cool to see the kind of synergy between you guys and IDW.
yeah. Well, and that's something, that relationship has been around for a while. Because we had Jula was originally a IDW comics character,
That's
and
right.
so there's a one of the writers who works in a lot of those IDW comics, Mike Johnson. He is a consultant for Paramount on their kind of their games properties, like their licensed games for Star Trek. And so he was a good, go between, or a, ambassador between STO and IDW for a while. There was a changing of the guard for the IDW comics before this new run, and Heather Antos is the new kind of editor in chief there for the Star Trek stuff for that line. And so, when that happened, and then the new line kind of got announced, and they showed the Theseus. um, I think I had met Heather at Comic-Con or something, so I knew her, or knew of her anyway. And so I reached out and said, hey, we've done things with IDW in the past. We'd love to continue that relationship and put the Theseus in the game. And she was excited about the idea, and happy to work with us on that. So yeah, we've done a lot with them, and I'm happy to do more. Uh, continue to do stuff with them, because it's the stuff they come up with and the writers they have on Star Trek are all great.
That's awesome. All right, well let's hit some patch notes and some Armada news, and then we'll dive back into some questions. I think take advantage of having you here, Thomas. So patch notes for PC for October 5th. Captains can now once again earn bonus dilithium from the Borg Tesseract event. That's good. Resolved an issue with the Universal Console Covert Warhead module so that it now properly triggers abilities that are triggered on cloaking. All versions of the following items now correctly share equip limits with set omnis. This means that they can be equipped with non-set omnis at the same time now. The omnidirectional interlacing Tetrion beam array from the Looming Threats event, and the omnidirectional Protostar phaser beam array from the Do You Believe in a No-Win Scenario August 2023 version. And then some gaps in geometry on the Inquiry Battlecruiser Gamma skin have also been fixed. All right. Moving on to Armada news. Be sure to tune in this Monday when the Priority 1 Armada takes to the airways again with Accolade Hunter, hosted by Admiral James. Then every Friday on our YouTube channel, join Sarah and James on the latest episode of Trekking Out the News, where we bring you all the latest Star Trek universe news and headlines. As usual, Thursday is TFO Thursday. This event is for all Priority 1 Armada members and offers a chance for us to team up together and earn marks, XP, and more important, dilithium. To check the time for the event, head to the fleet window, check on the events tab, and you will see TFO Thursday listed with the correct time for your time zone on there. So check that out. The Priority 1 Deca fleet is working towards its Tier 3 update and only needs just under 1 million dilithium to put it on cooldown, so lots of marks to be had there. The Ferengi Alliance fleet is continuing to work towards a Tier 5 starbase and colony world. The Priority 1 Romulan Republic fleet has 2 upgrades online at the moment, one for the colony world, and all it needs is approximately 450,000 dilithium to put it on cooldown, and a K-13 upgrade from 3 to 4 that needs less than 500,000 dilithium. So there are a couple of 100,000 fleet credits available for anyone who wants them in the Romulan Republic fleet. Moving on to the KDF side, the High Council fleet is continuing to work towards a Tier 5 starbase in Colony World. Next up, the Romulan Tal Shiar fleet is also working on their Tier 5 upgrades. If anyone is interested in joining any of our specialist fleets, like the Ferengi Alliance, the Klingon High Council, the Romulan Republic, or the Romulan Tal Shiar fleet, you can submit your application on the Priority 1 Armada website once you have reached the fleet rank of captain in any of our primary fleets. Oh, and I'm just putting this out there because it's in the script that we have some very exciting plans in store for our specialty fleets. So now is an excellent time to get a character in these fleets. They also have... Oh, you know what? I know what that's referencing. Specifically, the fleet with the ears. I guess that doesn't really narrow it down, does it? Because Romulans have ears. Ferengi have ears. Remans kind of have ears, right? Okay.
Or that don't.
Anyway, there's some exciting things happening in some of our specialist fleets, so make sure you have some characters in there. And who knows? Who knows? If you have the lobes, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Also, these specialist fleets offer a 25% reduced requirements for all promotions, as well as instant access to all fleet stores. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Our account is at P1Armada. We'd love to boost our social media followers, so each month we're giving away 10 Lockbox Master Keys, 1 T6X token, and 1 ship fleet module. All you have to do is just follow our Twitter account at P1Armada, retweet our promotional tweets, and or comment on our promotional tweets to enter. Also, feel free to follow our TikTok account. We'll be adding clips from all of our latest shows, so feel free to clip something you found funny, and the best ones will be featured there. To find us, simply type into your search at P1Armada. Captains, we want your help. We're looking for able members to join the Junior Officer Program. These officers will help the senior staff in the running of TFO Thursday each week. The only requirements are that you are willing to chat on Discord. If you're interested, please contact Admiral Brent on our Discord. Also, I want to announce the Halloween contest. I think the theme has been decided. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're looking at this year is sci-fi duos. Your favorite sci-fi duo. We'll be landing on, I forget exactly which planet it was, but you and your number one, whoever comes with you, you have to design 2 costumes for you and the person with you. So whether it's your favorite team, your favorite couple, best friends, anything in sci-fi. So whether you want to do, Kirk and Spock or Han Solo and Chewbacca, you can make your costumes Halloween. Any sci-fi duo will do.
And stay tuned for details on when that event will be, but it'll obviously be at the end of this month sometime. So. My favorite sci-fi duo is Connor and Ramirez from Highlander 2, the director's cut, if you know what I mean. That's a deep cut. It's a very deep cut. Nobody's seen Highlander 2, the director's cut? When they're in space? No?
I have not seen that, no.
Okay. All right, well, I guess I'm alone on my island. All right. Also, if you have questions for devs, like Mr. The Cat here, other devs, we're going to be having more devs on later this year and next year, so go ahead and send us an email at info@priority1armada.com and just put the subject line dev questions, and we will try to get those on. And obviously here in a few minutes we'll have some community questions that were sent in, some questions that we got for you, Thomas, so no pressure. Also, website donations. We are so grateful to all of the members who make donations to the community. Thank you so very much for everyone who has made a financial contribution to our website. These donations directly support the Priority One Armada by paying for such things as website hosting fees, production software for the show, domain name fees, IFTTT services, restreaming software for the show. And if you would like to support the Priority One Armada, you can make a donation on our website and receive a thank you package based on the amount you donate. Visit PriorityOneArmada.com to find out more. And if you call 555-687-1234, Thomas will pick up the phone right now and talk to you if you make a donation. Isn't that correct, Thomas? Is that? Oh, did we not set that up? Oh, shoot. I thought we set that up beforehand. All right,
Priority
sorry.
One Armada survives thanks to donations provided by viewers like you.
Yes, thank you. All I could picture was the PBS
Right.
donation phone bank that they used to have with the celebrities, you know. So,
Right.
so yeah, thank you. Exactly, it's viewers like you. All right, cool. Well, I think what we'll do is, if it's okay with the viewers, I think maybe we'll just hang out and talk and do some more questions and just talk about stuff. And is that okay with you too, Thomas and Sean?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So Sean, why don't you grab one of the submitted questions and let's get the community ones out of the way, and then we'll talk about some other stuff too. I've got some interesting questions that hopefully you've never been asked. So.
Yeah, that sounds great. I will be asking my buddy Lance's question here. And also, I'll be looking in the chat. If there's anything you really want me to ask, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I might ask. But otherwise, from the community, we have 3 questions, and one of them is, would the Gorn Destroyer from Strange New Worlds likely be added to the game in the future? Any, time frame is the other, the end of the question.
That's certainly an interesting ship. I think we would have to. It's such a weird shape, and really hard to parse from the reference in the show. We would almost certainly need to get our hands in the actual model from the show to be able to build it, because we just wouldn't be able to guess. I mean, some ships, we're able to take a bunch of screenshots, and maybe somebody like Dave Blast will post orthos, renders of the top, bottom, left, right, front, back. But for that specific Gorn ship, it is so complex and weird that I think the only way we'll do it is if we can get our hands on the actual show used model from the production. So that hasn't happened yet. I would love to get it and go from there. But if we do, we will. But for now, we're on to other things.
Oh, no, I understand. Those, the new Gorn look, the individual Gorn species and their ships are wild. And I'm excited for you guys to eventually get to that. And this next question, it's on the same exact topic, so I'll just roll right
and you do that. I'm just gonna step away real quick and use the little captain's room, and I will mention that that Lance, who asked the Gorn question, he's a big Gorn fan. I think his main character is a Gorn, so we call him Gornies. He's very Gorny for Gorn ships. Anyway, all right, I'll be back.
Yes, we do put up with a lot of Gorn puns in this community, thanks to Lance, and we love him for it. I have a Gorn who I love. I called mine Bill Blackburn, named after one of the 3 people that originally did it. I gave mine a real hip hop flair. The idea is my Gorn's going to go into music when he's done doing military.
Yeah.
But so again, another question for tell us about future ships.
Mm-hmm.
You have Jerry Taylor coming with the question. Now that the jellyfish has been added, it's a symmetrical ship. Will the Borg cube, spear, or probes be made into player ships eventually? Are you guys planning on doing that?
It was a little easier with the jellyfish, and I think with the way we the way we sort of got around that was just we made a giant, wide trail to kind of help you figure out your orientation. I actually was really surprised how popular the jellyfish was. I expected that we would get, that some people would want it, but it was really cool to see how many of them were around our space dock once people started earning them. I think never say never on those things. I think there's a bigger challenge for something like a Borg cube or a Borg sphere for a variety of reasons. Because they don't move the same way that player ships move, right? They don't bank. The jellyfish, we could limit the banking a bit, but it's still banked a little bit. Um, and since it was flat, we could do sort of a big nice flat trail. But doing that same thing, I think on a Borg cube or sphere presents some other challenges. So it's certainly something we're interested in doing and something we're gonna continue to investigate. We've talked about it a lot, but some of these things you just have to like spend time prototyping and iterating, and that has to happen between all the other stuff that we got to put out. So I think it's a solid, maybe. Certainly we know people want them and we want to make them, but finding a way to do it that doesn't totally destroy the immersion, right? Because we even talked about simply just putting a big arrow in front of your cube, like this is the way you're pointing. It's just like, yeah, we could do that, but that doesn't really feel good. That's not going to feel great for people to have that, thing floating out in space, and it can be kind of an eyesore. So,
Yeah, feels silly.
yeah.
No, I understand. It's I like flying the jellyfish, and I do know what you mean, that you have a good sense of which direction you're going in. Once you have the trail going, and depending on what vanity you have on, you can kind of see the circles appear in the back there, get an idea of which way you're going. But I still like to fly the jellyfish. Well, that's interesting. I would love to see the Borg cube eventually be a playable ship. It's a fun idea. And this last question just goes really well into this from the community. This is also from Lance. Have you considered adding the adapted trait that the ground Borg enemies have, and have that be given to the Borg non-player character starships?
That's it's come up, but that would be sort of a huge undertaking. And when adding it to the ground was a huge undertaking, and so doing that again in space, and I think it makes it even more complex, because the kind of all the different energy types there are in space. I don't know. I'm not a systems designer. It's not really my area of expertise, so I don't want to go too far in the weeds. But I think it's something we sort of briefly talked about, but was very much a like, oh no, there's no way that we could do this with the kind of everything else on our plate already.
Oh, no worries. I understand. Oh, you're back?
Yeah, I am back. And I think we can answer a whole bunch of questions with one more. So Thomas, when is blank Starship coming to Star Trek Online?
We don't talk about upcoming content.
Awesome, great. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. So all those questions. I don't get why.
We just answered about 75 questions from the chat, so that's fantastic.
Efficiency.
Exactly.
Honestly, when is the Manticore Heavy Destroyer remastering? That's really
that's really that's the only thing that the three of us can agree on as a priority, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean that would be a thing that I would probably do in my spare time, which is sorely lacking right now. So you got
that book to write.
Yeah, the book is really the big thing that I want to get done, and then after that, who knows? But but there's still a lot to do for that book, so it's not going to be done anytime soon, unfortunately. But hopefully it'll be worth the wait.
Awesome.
Oh, it sounds like such a cool idea. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this book.
Yeah, me too. So I have one of my first questions is back in the before times, before you guys you were remote. You're because you're completely remote now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cryptic has gone fully remote.
Yeah, that's what I think Mike said that. So back when you had a desk at the office, I remember seeing a picture of this from somewhere. Maybe it was your tweets or your X's or whatever they're called, or maybe even Instagram. But I remember seeing a picture of your desk. I think it was when you were actually cleaning it out. And you had a bunch of 3D STO ships. There was a fleet of Lego starships. Were those Lego starships, the Star Wars ones?
Yeah, there were Star Wars Lego ships.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some classic ships. I mean, I'm assuming there was probably an Eagle Moss ship in there somewhere. You also had some. I think you had the Planet Express, right?
I had a little Planet Express. Yeah.
Yeah, and the NTE Protector. I think I saw in there. So my first question is, prove to me you're a nerd by telling me what NTE stands for.
It stands for Not the Enterprise.
Okay, you're a nerd. You passed. you can stay.
The Protector was designed by John Eves. He worked at ILM, and ILM did the effects for Galaxy Quest, and he was the perfect person to design the Protector as a stand-in for the Enterprise and homage, a loving homage / parody. I love the Protector. I think it's a great ship design, and I think what's really we could talk for an hour about how great Galaxy Quest is.
It's the fifth best Star Trek movie.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, so my favorite Star Trek movie is actually Master and Commander.
Oh.
And I think
I could agree on that. You got me on there. You got me there. I'm with you.
And I think Galaxy Quest is either tied or at a close second. But the Protector, it's a funny rearrangement of the typical Star Trek parts. But when they built the model, they didn't build it cheesy, right? Like they made a beautiful model of the ship for the sequences where it's in space and everything.
Yep.
And like the genius of that movie is how it knows when to take itself seriously and when not to.
Yeah.
And it's that contrast where you find a lot of the humor and the joy.
Yeah. So when you're designing or when you're working on ships or models, like especially when you're creating new stuff, or influencing new stuff or giving notes on new stuff or whatever level you're at, what's the strangest place or the strangest object you've ever pulled inspiration from?
One of our concept artists, our main concept artist, Hector Ortiz, we sort of share him with the other projects now, but Hector is a brilliant artist, and he's done so many of STO's iconic ship designs that people fall in love with in the last 5 or so years. The Gagarin, Hector designed that.
That's one of my favorite originals.
I think that's one of the sort of the ones that's been elevated. He goes to a lot of places. He goes to like cars, like sports cars, high performance cars, yachts. He looks at a lot of yachts, but he also looks at strange things like plankton. Like if you look at I think he has this book of just like super high, macroscopic.
Oh, in a book?
winds.
Because you said yachts and then plankton, I assumed that like he's at a dock and he's like, that's a nice yacht, and then he shoves his face in the water. Oh, look at that plankton.
No, he's got a book.
Oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense and probably a little drier, I guess.
Yeah. But there's some interesting shapes in there in nature, right? And so I think that's probably one of our, looking at things like plankton and viruses and, especially for alien stuff that we're working on.
The USS COVID-19.
God.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Too soon. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
what's funny about that is we actually were talking about when we were in the middle of lockdown, or actually towards the beginning of lockdown, we were like, should we do a like, I think, we were like, should we do a macro copy TFO? And it was like, no, it's too soon. It's too soon. Maybe when everything's over, we can do it. But,
maybe like 5 years after everything's over.
Yeah, but not right now. But we're getting to that point, though. I think maybe we could do it soon. It'd be a lot of fun.
So this actually ties into my next question, but there's a board game called Pandemic that came out years ago.
Oh yeah.
And have you ever played it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so shortly after lockdown happened, they actually released online an official starting variant where you could recreate the COVID-19 pandemic in the game and try to solve it.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
So somebody else had that idea and they went with it. They didn't second guess that. So also in those pictures of your office, I noticed that you had the Star Trek Fleet Captain's game in one of the boxes. What other Star Trek tabletop games have you played, and do you have a favorite?
So I played a little bit of Expeditions. I played a little bit of Attack Wing. I mean, the big one is Star Trek Adventures. TTR. I was actually on a Star Trek Adventures stream this morning.
Oh, really?
So it was a busy day. Well, not playing, but it was continuing conversations. The show that they have like a weekly show just talking about GMing and playing Star Trek Adventures, and so they were celebrating their 100th episode this morning with a big
awesome.
stream with a bunch of guests and stuff. So I jumped in for that. But yeah, Star Trek Adventures is a big one. I love TTRPGs. When you get a good group, it's just really fun to kind of cooperate and make a cool story, and that's one of the great things about working with professional game designers is they make incredible game masters.
Yeah.
So I'm certainly spoiled as far as that's concerned.
Well, it's my favorite Star Trek game. It's a tabletop game. It's a big one, but if you ever get the chance to play Star Trek Ascendancy,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's sort of like an overview of all of the factions, where each player plays a faction, and they play over, they develop the faction over hundreds of years, and they actually start off where they're not even in contact with each other. They have to make first contact, and then you can do trade agreements and stuff, and every faction has sort of like a shtick, sort of like a strategy. And my favorite is the Ferengi. They want to leave their ships in other people's star systems, and then when they give trade agreements, the person they give the agreement to gets more resources for every ship that they allow in their systems. So all they want to do is sell you stuff, and they can't the Ferengi can't gain culture from anything, but they can buy it. They can buy culture to win the game. So that's sort of one of my favorite mechanisms. But and Star Trek Adventures is amazing. I've been meaning to get our group back into a game, and that's always a fun time. And that Star Trek Adventures, they did a really great job with that system, in my opinion. And I think it's somebody. I had a GM say to me once, Star Trek Adventures is not a Star Trek universe simulator. It is a Star Trek episode simulator.
Right, yeah.
So that one's always fun. You've certainly cemented yourself as a very prolific contributor to Star Trek canon at this point. Star Trek Online, working with the guys on Picard, getting the STO ships into the show. Clear Skies, you helped design the Ross, right?
Yeah, I designed the Ross, Clear Skies.
The Ships of the Line calendar. What's out of all of those? Oh no, I'm sorry. Actually, my notes say somebody named DeBlanche Marrone designed the Ross. Is that right?
What?
Do you know what that's a reference to?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. So in Clear Skies, there's a character named after you on the show.
Oh, okay.
That is an engineer that I don't
That's great.
know as it references. It's a Tellarite engineer that they
Uh-huh.
named after you. So,
That's
um,
funny.
but out of all of those like connections and contributions that you've made, what do you have one that's just like really meaningful to you that you just kind of like have to remind yourself actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question's maybe too easy because I mean, getting to do, having like I'll never forget. I was on my way to Star Trek Mission Chicago in April 2022. I literally boarding the plane to go to Chicago for that convention, and I get an email from Dave Blass, and he's like, "Do you have the Enterprise F?" And that's all the email says. Like, "Do you have the Enterprise F?" That's the only thing in the email. And I'm like, I just like all of the sprockets in my brain start to like turn and steam comes out. Like what's going on? What do you mean, do I have the like? Why do you want the Enterprise F?
Yeah,
Why does
yeah.
the production designer on Star Trek Picard, a canon Star Trek TV show,
Yeah.
what does he want to know about the Enterprise F? And so I replied, I'm like, do you want the model to use in the show, and do you want the Yorktown version and the original?
You like, do you want a
version?
poster for your
Right.
bedroom, or do you want like the files? Like, how far are we going here? Like that,
Right.
I can imagine how that ambiguous email probably sent you into a spiral.
Yeah. And so and he was like, well, we want, I think he was like, well, we want the original version or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, if you want the original version of the Enterprise F, the model for that hasn't been, I think it had been 5 years. I think 2016 or 2017 was when we had last touched the Odyssey model. And so I was like, that hasn't been touched in a long time. I'm going to have to build a new one for you. When do you need it by? And he was like 3 weeks, or maybe I said, if you can give me 3 weeks, I can give you a new model that you guys can actually use. And he was like, yeah, okay. And so, and then I had to go to Mission Chicago and like not tell anybody that
Wow.
happened.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Wow.
And then
You probably could have floated. You didn't even need the plane.
Yeah.
You could have floated to Chicago.
Yeah, it was well, I mean, and I did not let myself believe that it was going to be on screen until I saw it on the episode. I was actually in Florida when that episode aired with my girlfriend. We were visiting her parents, and we watched it together. And
Wow.
and like I just didn't want to believe that it was going to happen, and then they cut it
But
at the
you
last
saw-
minute or whatever.
Oh, but you saw it in the trailer, right?
Yeah, I saw it in the trailer. I mean,
Okay.
I guess that's fair. I forgot about that. Like that they put it in the very first trailer for the season, and that's really when I was like, oh, they mean it. Like this is actually going to happen.
And millions of STO players were validated
Right.
in one moment.
Yeah, and but I mean, like, I didn't, I was excited, and I was hopeful, but I was also I didn't want to get so hyped up that if they did have to cut it or decided not to use it, that that would be conversely the biggest letdown, right? So anyway, but I spent, after I got back from Mission Chicago, I spent the next 3 weeks doing nothing but rebuilding that ship.
Wow.
And
Somebody in the chat is asking, were you able to talk about it with anybody else on the STO team at that point, or did you have to keep it from them also?
That's a good question. I don't really remember. I think I slowly told people. I don't think I told everybody on the STO team until we had, like, it might have been the trailer, when the trailer came out. Like, it was very, like, Al, our creative director, our executive producer, I was still the associate art director at that point, so my boss, the actual art director, Bill Yates, those people knew. But the broader team, I did not tell for a very long time, because again, I didn't want to put that out there, and then they change their mind or whatever,
Right.
because that stuff happens all the time. Like there have been times when we would get inside information from Paramount about what the plans are for season X, Y, or Z of a show early on, and then so we sort of like, oh, okay, well, we'll do this if they're going to do that or whatever. And like there was originally with Discovery, Discovery was going to have Saru be the last Kelpian alive in the 32nd century or something, and or like he was going to be the only Kelpian in Starfleet because the rest of Kelpians were going to be locked in some time vortex, or I don't know. So there was like some reason where we were like, okay, well, we can never make Kelpians a playable race, which was a bummer, right?
Yeah.
And so we just sort of like abandoned that idea, and then that season, seasons 2 and 3 Discovery comes out, and it turns out they totally abandoned all of that. None of that was a problem. After all, it's like, oh, well, we could have worked, we could have put Kelpians in STO, I guess.
Yeah.
But, maybe we will still eventually. But it's just stuff like that changes all the time. You never know what it's going to change, how it's going to change. And so I just try to brace myself against the idea that it wasn't going to happen, but it did happen, and it got such an incredible introduction with the fireworks and everything. And I don't know. I doubt that the people who did that play STO, but it felt so right, with the lifetime sub fireworks emotes that you always see in the SD. Like that was a perfect way to show off the ship, and it was a beautiful moment. And I certainly got emotional seeing it. But that I kind of feel like that my career has peaked now, and I can go right off into the sunset. If I could afford to retire, I would. I cannot afford to retire, so I got to keep working.
All right. Well, I want to keep talking about stuff, but I want to do the giveaway and then start our last one and see if you can guess what the theme is here. So, so the winner of the comic book is
who do I gotta send this to?
Bort Cobain. Bort Cobain. That's a great name, Bort Cobain. So congratulations. If you want to message the let's see, that was a Twitch viewer, I believe. If you want to message the Priority One Armada Twitch with your I guess email, and then we'll have I'll pass that along to you, Sean, and you can get those details from them. Does that sound good?
That's right. You have to send me your address so I can send you this. And I'm going to include a couple other things, Star Wars swag. But yeah, you just have to get me your address. You can send it directly to my IG, which is Aggressively Relaxing. Or pass the email along. Or you can find me on Turcon in our Discord. Anyway, try to get to me, and I will get that comic out to you ASAP.
All right. So for our last giveaway, which is 5 lockbox master keys. Did you mean Star Wars or Star Trek? Because you said Star Wars swag.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm fine. I'm bitrektual, so, it's cool.
Star Trek specific.
Okay, cool. All right, so if you want a chance to win 5 lockbox master keys, type into the chat the word Ghostbuster. The word Ghostbuster. So, Thomas, the words for tonight's giveaways were Rebel, Goose, and Ghostbuster. What is the theme for tonight's giveaways?
Rebel, Goose, and Ghostbuster.
Wow, I thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so I thought when I heard Goose, I was thinking Top Gun, but the Ghostbuster threw me.
I'll give you a hint. Can I give you a hint?
Okay.
It has to do with our very special guest tonight.
Oh, are those Halloween costumes that I've had?
Yes, those are things that you've cosplayed as, or Halloween costumes, or that you have shown. Yeah. Well, good,
Okay,
you got
good.
it.
I
So.
was racking my brain. Like, what is the connection?
No, they're all for anyone who wants to visit Thomas's Instagram. If you scroll down far enough, you'll see Thomas dressed up as a rebel pilot, Thomas dressed up as Goose from Top Gun, and Thomas dressed up as a Ghostbuster. Which, by the way, the Ghostbusters glamour shots are incredible,
Right?
dude. Like,
So
holy
good.
crap! Like,
A former cryptic coworker took those. She has an
wow.
amazing photography setup.
Oh my gosh. I was like, wait, is this there's like the one with the book that's glowing and stuff? Like, I was like, this looks like it's from the movie. Like,
Right, yeah. No, she just she had this like big LED square, light square, and she just put it inside the book, and it was bright enough that it cast that light. And she had
Wow.
like a fog machine. It was awesome. She's so good.
yeah.
Her name is I think Twixler is like her handle in different places, but Robin is her name, and she's an amazing photographer.
Well
And that's
done,
just, like, a
Robin.
side gig. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's she's an animator, a video game animator, and she worked at Crypto for a while, but she's on to other things now. But yeah, that I'm so pleased with those, and I love that outfit because we went to the theater. I have a couple friends who have jumpsuits too, and so we all got together and went to see Afterlife together.
Oh,
And like
nice.
I had my pack with me and everything.
Yeah.
And when we got in the theater and everybody cheered. It was so great. Like,
Oh, wow.
everyone was super hyped to see Ghostbusters in the theater with them. It's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you got the patch with your name on it. The whole, I mean, it's really, really well done. And I mean, clearly, Ghostbusters has a special place in your heart because I see more of those on your Instagram than anything else. So.
Well, growing up, I think that's one of the fun things about Ghostbuster. Like, I like that people they want to be like franchisee Ghostbusters. It's not about cosplaying as like a specific Ghostbuster from
Right.
the movie. It's like,
Right.
I want to work for the Ghostbusters myself, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what's neat about that group of people and those cosplayers.
Yeah, that's really cool. So getting back to this thing called Star Trek, how was
Before we do that, I just have to say, I just watched the movie Casper for the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but
Oh, I
Ray shows
remember.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ray's
God.
like, call somebody else or something.
Yeah, and he's got his like mustache on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That made me actually. I watched that cameo. I had totally forgotten about it, and then I saw somebody mention it on Reddit or something, so I went to watch
Yeah.
it, and I got so mad because I was like, Ray can handle those stupid
Yeah.
ghosts. This is dumb.
Right?
I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book about how he
Right.
can do that.
Thankfully, I didn't have that level of mania.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna write a novel about how Ray takes on the ghost from Casper.
Well, I'm not dead yet, so maybe.
Well, if this one's successful, that's your sequel, right? There you go.
There you go.
That's your next book deal.
Oh my god.
So speaking of like getting the Enterprise F and contributing to that, like what was it like going to the premiere for season 3? I mean, like, because in my mind, there's like season 2, not the expected, show we were expecting, but so going into season 3, like even though the trailer there was some hype with the TNG cast coming, but like how magical was that experience going to the premiere and seeing, what was it, the first 3 episodes or 4 episodes or something?
I only remember it being the first 2. It might have been the first 3, but no, it was. I mean, I've been lucky enough to do that. I think twice, because I did that. I was able to go to the premiere for Picard season 1 actually.
Oh, cool.
As well, and that it's incredible. I mean, it's you're super lucky to be there. You're rubbing elbows with like people who make way more money than you do, have way nicer suits, it's I think you're just I'm super self-conscious when I interact with celebrities or people that are very influential or whatever. So I don't really say much. I'm not a great like schmoozer. I wish that's actually something I wish I was a lot better at in those situations, is kind of getting myself out there more. But you know what? It's still an incredible place to be. It's incredible to be there to see that with a bunch of other. I mean, they do. Paramount's pretty good about inviting a lot of fans to those events. And then they have the talent there that worked on the show.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and it's just a great energy to be among people who not appreciate the show, but the people who worked on it, and to be there with them when they see all of their hard work come to fruition, right? Because like even with STO, I mean, I'm lucky now as art director that I do get to see all the little pieces come together, and I can see what the effects people are working on, what the character people are working on, and like and I sort of have an idea in my head of how it's going to turn out. But still, it's not really until the end, or when you see streamers play it on launch day, that you get to experience it all together as like the complete package, and it's really meaningful to have people enjoy the stuff that you create. So it's certainly a privilege.
Do you when STO releases new content, do you ever like sneak onto streams or watch YouTube videos of people experiencing the content and seeing what their reactions are?
Absolutely, and I'll be the first one to like if somebody's streaming, Q is a big one. You guys, I think we've passed around clips. If somebody has I think you guys had the Inquisitor that got turned into the cat. I think that was a Priority 1 Armada clip that got passed around the STO team.
Oh, nice.
It's the Inquisitor, the Mirror Inquisitor. If you're using the feline charm, the Inquisitor gets turned into a cat. And there was like a really funny Twitch clip where that happened, and we just died laughing, because it was like nobody anticipated that, and those are there are bugs that are annoying, but then there are bugs where you're just like, no, we're not gonna try to fix that. That's hilarious. Like that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's fine. Not a bug.
Yeah, not a bug, it's a feature. So speaking of like rubbing elbows and stuff, have you ever encountered any actors or crew members from the shows, or any production people, or anybody that's been involved in bringing Star Trek to our television screens and movie screens? Have you ever run into somebody that said they've played the game, like that you've kind of been surprised at, that people in the thing have happened?
Yeah, I mean the main one I can think of is James Kerwin, who he directed Star Trek Continues, which was a fan production.
Mm-hmm.
He's friends with Kipley Brown, who's the voice of Camargue, and he's a big STO player. I'm not sure.
And one of I think there's a character in one of the Discovery missions that he's
Kerwin,
named after. Yeah, Lieutenant Kerwin.
Yep, I think it's a lieutenant, but yeah, and either way he dies. But
I think all of us would dream of dying, our characters dying in STO.
Oh,
so sure.
Yeah, somebody in chat mentioned Sam Witwer.
I think Sam Witwer,
yeah. Has he actually been in Star Trek? He's done Clone Wars. He's done a lot of other stuff, but I don't think he's
other than being in Star Trek Online. I don't think he's actually been in anything Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know? Sorry, this is a weird tangent. I don't know why I'm remembering this, but do you know who was in Star Trek that boggles my mind? Taylor Sheridan. Do you know who Taylor Sheridan is? He's the creator of Yellowstone in 1883 and 1923 and Sicario. Wow. He's the writer of all that stuff, right?
He was in Star Trek?
He was a Mako in Enterprise.
Nice.
I'm not even joking. And
wild.
That boggles my mind when I discovered that. Anyway, sorry, it's weird
No,
tangent.
that's really cool.
So
Another, well,
Sam
another.
Witwer was in Star Trek Enterprise season.
Oh, okay, cool.
Everyone's always been in Star Trek.
Yeah,
who was?
Seth MacFarlane was in the Enterprise. I think Seth MacFarlane was. He had a cameo in Enterprise. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, Sam Witwer played. Oh, he played a character in. Oh, he played a Zindi Boreal in Enterprise. Is that what you just said, Sean?
A while.
Exactly right.
Oh.
Yeah, in the episode "The Shipment."
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
the guitarist from Rage Against the Machine was also an engineer on Enterprise.
Yeah, there's been some weird cameos. So of like, what is that feeling? I mean, have you ever talked to somebody directly who's played the game that is kind of somebody who's been involved in other stuff? And what is that experience like, knowing that they are interacting with the stuff that you're helping to create and in that way? Because I think that's the coolest thing. Like when I that 10 Forward episode with Sam Witwer just blew me away, because I know Sam Witwer is a huge Star Wars fan, and he is a huge nerd in general, and I've seen him decimate on Star Wars trivia shows, but he was spitting like Klingon factoids from like the Star Trek role-playing game from the 70s, and like these novels that I've never even heard of, and that's crazy, and it really exciting that these people who are involved in at that level of stuff get excited about the same things we do, and I think that's really cool. Have you ever had a similar experience where you just were like, wow, that guy really enjoys it, or that girl, or that person?
Well, to that, I mean, about Star Trek, I think, there's the community. He's not a community manager. He's like I think his official title is documentarian, but he does a lot of video production for Cloud Imperium games, Star Citizen. Jared Huckabee. I know. He plays STO, and he's got a really big following online. Disco Lando is usually, I think, what he goes by. And it's cool because he's got a really positive vibe, but he's he's accomplished professional. He's in the games industry, and I think he's worked in Hollywood and stuff, and I think the guys from Greatest Generation have played a little bit of STO, the podcast. But anytime somebody that whose work you respect, anytime if they don't play STO, but they Doug Drexler, he's got to be in his 70s. He doesn't play video games, but he's commented on my work, and he's like, this guy gets it, and to hear that from somebody like Doug Drexler is, again, it's just like, all right, well, I guess I can hang up my hat. Like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like you said, like as a creative person, you're sort of, you obviously want your idols or the people who inspired you want them to, you would love for them to approve of the work you're doing.
Exactly.
But also the other thing that I think we're, as creative people, that we're chasing is inspiring other people, other talented people or skilled people to create something of their own, right? So, I love it when I see demo record using STO, demo record videos using STO. I love it when I see fan arts. Food Cubes on Twitter, she has some amazing STO fan art that's incredible. Pundis, again on Twitter, he does really awesome renders with STO ships. I love that stuff because it's great seeing something that you created kind of infect other people and give them that desire to make something cool too. Yeah,
that's awesome. Does Dave Blas play, or has he played Star Trek Online?
Know. I've heard somebody say that he does or did or tried it. I'm not sure if he plays regularly. I think, I think we are so lucky to get an ally in Dave. However he found out about us, I asked him, and he told me that it was basically he just sort of Googled Star Trek ships just to kind of
Oh,
see
wow.
what people were doing, and he
Yeah.
kept coming across cool ships, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. What's that from? Star Trek Online. Oh, that's cool. What's that from? Star Trek Online. Oh, that's really neat. Where's that from? Star Trek Online."
I
And then,
mean, you
yeah,
do make the best ships. You guys do make the best ships. I'm just, that's a fact.
yeah,
It's not, Google
right,
knows it, obviously. Now Dave knows it, so, you
right.
know.
And so and then somehow he tracked me down on Twitter, or happened to see a post I made, and reached out to me, and we started
Wow.
talking, and things got rolling from there. But like I say to people a lot that there's two ingredients to success, and the first ingredient is hard work. Obviously, like um, you have to do a lot of work to get to the point where when the second ingredient, which is luck, kicks in, that you're ready and
Yeah.
able to take advantage of that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And so we certainly we got lucky, but we worked very hard to be in a spot where we could give. We remastered so many of those ships. We remastered the 2410 ships. We remastered some canon ships. So even though they weren't, video game ships, real-time ships weren't good enough to be like a hero ship, they were still good enough, kind of straight from the game in some ways, to show up in the Starfleet Museum in the background, or in the
Yeah.
big fleet shop, right? And
Yeah.
like, if we hadn't done the work we had done, the the effects house wouldn't have been able to use them, and they wouldn't have become canon, right? So it takes a lot to um, prepare yourself for those opportunities, if you're lucky enough for them to happen.
Yeah, and the last thing I wanna ask you about too is that, from your perspective, because you're connected to it obviously a lot more than the rest of us, but what's the sense of like the overall production of Star Trek media, and how it's somewhat integrating, or in the very least, because I've heard Al talk about like these sort of story exchanges, and things that were even happening several years ago. But from my sense, seeing Dave Blass talk, hearing you talk, seeing these things like the Theseus getting right into STO, or the ships from STO being in Picard season 3, and even I think at the end of season 2 also. What is the sense of like sort of the camaraderie, or the partnerships, or the sort of connections between all the different medias? Because it seems like it's slightly more coherent now than it has been in a lot of years, and the people involved, the individuals like you and Dave, and I'm sure John Van Sitters fits into that somehow. It just feels like people are starting to get more on the same page, or being more aware of what's going on, and so they can pull from these different corners a little bit easier. And I'm sure the technology has gotten to that point too, where some of that is easier, especially in regards to the TV stuff and the video game stuff. But is that your perception as well? Do you kind of get that feeling where you're plugged in?
I mean, I think we have tools now where that sort of make it easier to seek out these people, and opt in to interacting with them, right? Like I said, like Dave found me on Twitter, and started a conversation with me there, and I think, and then like when I wanted to do Theseus, like I reached out to Heather on Antos at IDW on Twitter, and sort of started a conversation that way. So like we're able to network and interact in that way, and we also have more official channels if you want to go that route. But I think the thing that's cool about how people are interacting in some of these online spaces, as much as they will last, we'll see. But the is that it's not that you can reach out to somebody, it's that you can look at their posts and what they talk about, and you can get a feeling for, oh, I think this person cares about the same thing I care about, and so that they're going to be receptive if you do reach out to them, right? You can sort of vet vet the interaction and like, you know, do I think they'll want to talk to me about bringing the Theseus into STO? Like, do they even, you know, is that something that I think they would even want to open a conversation about, right? Like, you can get a sense of what their interests are and what their passions are, and how that lines up with where you're at and what you want to do, and so it becomes it becomes a bit of an icebreaker, which helps a lot of these conversations get rolling, and I think that's really cool.
Awesome. Well, let's do our final giveaway, and then we'll close out the show. So let's see. Our winner for the 5 Lockbox Master Keys is B Film Fan 1. So go ahead and message the Priority One Armada Twitch account with your in-game @ handle, and we'll get those sent over to you the next couple days. So congratulations on that. Well, that wraps up episode 280 of the Priority One Armada live briefing. But before we go, here's a glimpse at next week's briefing. Next time on Priority One Livestream, Winters will be in the Admiral's desk hosting next week's briefing with Lance and Selleck. As with every week, we will be talking about the latest news from Star Trek Online and Priority One Armada. Plus, we'll be teaming up with you in another Adventure Zone to earn marks and dilithium.
That's right. And if you're not a member of the Priority One Armada and want to chat with us in game, then come join us at Priority One Chat Channel by typing in the chat box /channel_ join space Priority One, all one word, and then hit the enter key.
If you do want to become a member of the Priority One Armada community, simply head over to PriorityOneArmada.com to sign up. We have multiple Federation and KDF fleets for you to start your career as part of the Priority One Armada.
And this episode of Priority One Armada Live is brought to you by our community patrons through Patreon.com. Find out about the thank you packages we offer for each tier and add your support at Patreon.com/PriorityOneArmada. It's your support that helps keep us going.
And speaking of Patreon, a special thanks to our Patreon supporters like Wile E. Coyote, Syar, Ken, Prince 1983, Teacher Guy, and Amerigen.
And if you want to be notified of our next live stream, then follow our various channels on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You never know what we'll be giving away next time.
Before we go, I'd like to say thanks to our artist, Jason Smith, thanks to Jesse for advertising our show in-game, and thanks to our community manager, James. I would also like to say thank you to my co-host, Sean, and a very, very special thanks to you, Thomas, for joining us this week. We really appreciate it, and I mean, there's a ton of thank yous in the chat. Thank you for being here. So we really appreciate it, and thank you again.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, and then, you know, but certainly very grateful for everybody who enjoys STO and keeps playing it. It means a lot to us that the game is knocking on the door of our 14th anniversary. How crazy is that? So thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate you and everything you do, and we cannot wait to see this book in whatever form it comes out in. So we're really excited for that.
Thanks.
And thanks to all the viewers for coming out, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. So until next week, live long and prosper. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.